Hi, this is Joel Persinger. I'm the gun guy. Thank you very much for watching my channel. I really deeply appreciate it. Now, this particular video is going to be about this phone, this LG phone right here, which I got to tell you, it's no longer a phone. It is officially a brick. It's an LG brick because it's not a phone. We're going to see if this phone might stop a bullet. But before we do that, a couple things I want to mention to you. One, I want to answer a question that I've gotten, I don't know, 36 times, and that is, what's the deal with this little ABC thing sitting up there? Well, here's the deal with this. I also have one that says CBS on it, and it's on the microphone that I use for my podcast and for voiceovers like that. This is a mic flag. It generally goes on a microphone when people are doing interviews. And this and the CBS mic flag were both given to me by a friend, a really close buddy of mine who gave it to me probably, I don't know, 30 years ago. He had been in broadcasting for quite some years, and he gave me this one and the NBC one, or CBS, I think it is. I don't know, one of the two. Anyway, he passed away, and we were really good buddies. So I've got one in my workshop out here, and I've got one on the microphone because every time I look at it, I think about him. And we had a lot of fun together, so they're really good memories. So that's what that's all about. I got to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the mainstream media, so I'm not advertising for them, but I am a fan of Al's. And since Al's gone, and I miss him, these things help me remember some of the good things that we did together. So that's the deal there. All right, the other thing I want to mention real quick, hopefully that answered the question, is very quickly some folks that helped us out on Patreon and some that donated to us. As you may or may not know, YouTube has cut off the advertising for just about everybody on YouTube, and it's hurt everyone, but it certainly has hurt us. Our revenue's down to next to nothing. We get an occasional ad, that's it. And we need the revenue to keep the channel running. So I'm grateful that people are pitching in to help. So Patreon folks, Ricky P, Kevin F, Frank C, Donald W, Craig M, and Andy T, thank you very much for helping us out on Patreon. I hope you're enjoying the content we're putting up there for you. And if you want other content, please let us know. Donations. These are folks that just went to our link on our website that says donate. I mean, I put it up there never thinking anybody would actually do it. And I'm really grateful a number of people have. I'm humbled and very grateful that they've done it. And they include Mitch N, Lucille R, Charles S, Ronald M, Eric T, and Chris E. Thank you very much for your donation. If it wasn't for folks like you and the Patreon folks, we'd have to shut the channel down because we just wouldn't have the money to keep it going. I'm very grateful. We're not quite there yet, but we're working on it. We're getting closer. So if you haven't decided to help us out on Patreon, you can do it for $1 or more, but a minimum of $1, and you'll never miss it, and it'll help us a ton. So there you are. All right, back to the video. Here we go. Here's the story on this phone. I bought this phone. It's an LG phone. And it lasted for a while. I was advised by my son not to buy an LG phone because he said they're terrible. That isn't what he said, but he said they suck. Okay. But anyway, it worked pretty good. It wasn't a bad phone until one day it just decided to turn into a brick on its own. And I did some web searching, and I found out that these things turn into a brick on their own because they have a defect in the motherboard. And apparently it's one of the main chips in the motherboard goes wacky, and the phone just dies. That's it. So I got a hold of LG, and I said, look, can you guys help me with the phone? They wanted me to try to reset it, and we went through their whole deal. And I said, well, look, I understand this is a manufacturer's defect with the motherboard. Are you aware of that? And the response was, yes, we're aware of that. I said, okay, is there a recall on these or something? Do I send it back? No. Can you fix it for me? No. Okay, what do I do now? Well, there's nothing we can do. So I was going to toss it, and a buddy of mine, who is one of these guys that's always got some silver lining idea, says, well, maybe it's useful for something else. I'm like, dude, what can it be useful for? It's dead. It's a brick. I mean, what, am I going to use it for a hammer? There's nothing to do with it. He said, well, you never know. It could be bulletproof. Maybe if you put it in a vest carrier, an armor carrier, you could, maybe it'd save your life. Can I use it to replace the Kevlar in my vest? So we're going to try it first with a 22, and then if it survives that, we'll try it with something bigger. So here we go. We're going to shoot the LG phone with a 22. I'm hoping that it will work well as armor, since it's been pretty useless as just about everything else. If it works as armor, then I can buy a bunch of them on web cheap because they're broken and they don't work. They turn into bricks. So let's try it. Here we go. Holy smoke. Literally. I didn't expect it to do that. Wow, that thing almost caught fire. That is amazing. Well, it obviously didn't stop the 22, but the pyrotechnics are kind of cool. We'll have to look at it and see how far it went through, or if it penetrated the whole way. But in the meantime, it's now time for the 45. That's dead. I don't think this actually is going to work well as a bulletproof vest, to be honest with you. There's the 22 caliber hole here. This is the 45 ACP, and you can see it shattered the screen. I am impressed that although this LG phone is absolutely worthless as a phone, it is a brick and it is a terrible piece of technology, and they would not support it at all. At least the screen survived kind of around here. But as you can see, the 22 went right through it. There's the 22 hole, and then the 45 went through it. We kind of can see, really see the holes in the back as it went through it. Here's what's left of the battery. The camera on the phone somehow magically survived, but you know, look, it's actually kind of fried in there and everything. So here's the conclusion here is that first of all, I've discovered that I'll never buy another LG product as long as I live, because they're, in my experience at least, their customer service is terrible, and their technology is not really good for what it's supposed to be doing, which is being a phone. And I've just discovered that it does not work as a hammer, it does not work as a brick, and it most certainly is not something I can use to build an armor vest. So let's face it, this thing is completely useless. Hey, thank you very much for watching. Be safe. Hey, Nick, can I borrow your phone?